All right, guys, we are live. It's Wednesday morning. Total bases. I'm here with Tokyo Brandon, Bryan, Leonard. This is your interactive Major League Baseball picks show. We're going to go for an hour. We're going to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. So hop in the chat, start firing off questions. We have a full slate. We've got day games, night games. Everyone's playing on Wednesday. So welcome in, and we're going to get right into it. Going right to the chat. G Hurt, what's going on? He's a loyal viewer. He's in there every day. So we're going to get to his question first. Well, his comment, and I guess we'll start with that game. G Hurt says, Yankees doing that thing again where they stop hitting on the road. He's, of course, referencing yesterday's 3-2 loss where they kind of, they 6 hits. I'm sorry. Let me see if I got that right. I think I looked at the wrong box score. No, 6 hits. 6 hits and stopped scoring. They scored a quick early run and then didn't score the rest of the time. End up kind of having one sort of meltdown inning. Great base running by Stephen Kwan. Really kind of sparked that rally, going second to home on a pass ball. And the Guardians hold on a 3-2 win. Those are Bryan Leonard's Guardians. So I'm going to Bryan Leonard first right here. We have Guardians, Yankees. That's a day game. 1:10. First pitch out in Cleveland, Rodon and Luis Ortiz. Start me off with some comments here. Guardians, Yankees.
Yeah, watched that game completely. Had the Yankees. We talked about that on the show yesterday. One of my rare losers on yesterday's great card. But, they blew it. Cleveland did it in Cleveland fashion. They were stealing bases. They were taking walks. Bloop singles. They were finding ways to get on base, and that entire inning where Cleveland scored those 3 runs, that was Cleveland baseball, and it's something the Yankees just don't have the ability to do. I've said it for years. The Yankees have great offenses because they have great power hitters. Cleveland doesn't have that. They've got one guy in the lineup that can hit it over the fence at a consistent level. Cleveland did what they do, and the Yankees outplayed Cleveland. I will say the home plate umpire in that game, horrendous. That was the worst home plate umpire I've seen, but he was fair to both teams. He was equally bad for both teams. So just because the game ended up with Cleveland winning that game 3-2, it could have gone many different ways with a different umpire behind home plate. Cleveland looked good in the second half of the game, and that's what they do. I'm kind of surprised. Well, the Yankees are a substantial favorite on the road here, and I agree the Yankees should be favored. Rodon's been really good. You take a look at his numbers so far this year, his StatCast numbers. Expected batting average, 191. Strikeout percentage, 31.9. He does walk too many, 13.8. So that's his concern. He's a little bit wild, but Ortiz is not a guy I'm looking to bet on. He was very good his last start. I have some concerns about him overall. I think the Yankees bounce back, but at this number, I can't be involved in it.
I'm not going to play this game myself, but my analysis, I have these teams ranked quite close together. Rodon does have the edge in pitching, and head-to-head, though, these pitchers don't have real great numbers against the opposing batters. Both bullpens pretty sluggish, pretty average lately in form right now. And I have Cleveland hitting the ball just a little better than the Yankees, but overall pretty tight game. So I'm not going to be playing this game. If anything, maybe an over, but I wouldn't play it.
Yeah, my numbers love the Yankees here, but at that price, there's really not much value there. I was kind of surprised at how high that opened, or where it is now, minus 155, minus 160.
The Yankee tax.
So yeah, you're right, and that is a thing, and I've kind of said that all year. Coming into this year, right? Like there's always a Yankee tax, even when they're bad. Coming off of a World Series appearance, they're going to be overvalued almost all season.
Because the books know that fans, 99% of sports bettors are fans betting on their team, and the Yankees have more fans than anyone else, basically. That's why 99% of sports bettors lose.
They're a popular team that made a lot of people a lot of money last year. So you're right. They're going to come up and it's going to be Yankee money all year. And I think you're going to make more money opposing that. But like, this is a scenario where I think the matchup and the fact that the bullpen is somewhat rested all suggests Yankees are the right side, but not at that price, at least not for me. I'm not going to be laying minus 160 there. Yeah, so that's not going to be laying minus 160 there. Let's go to a different game. Mark A, giving me some love in the chat. Nice call on Pitt, plus 1.5. That was my 5% play last night. You've
won 2 in a row with 5% plays. Nice going.
And I've got another one tonight. Someone talked about streaks yesterday. I will do that, like, personally. If I'm, and I know you guys could probably relate to this. When you're like starting to string wins together, it just feels different than like when you're trying to battle through it. And like a 4-2 game in the ninth, you're going to have first and second no outs. You're going to have to like sweat and try to like pull out a win. So I will like I'll try to like play my own streak to an extent. So that's why I'm just stacking the 5% plays. I'm going to try to go while it's hot. And then if I lose one, I'll scale it back. So I'm just going to go another 5% play in a game I like quite a bit tonight. But I want to talk Pirates Angels real quick. Brian, first of all, Brian had bigger stones than me. He had Pirates money line last night. So shout out to Brian for getting the, I think would you get like plus 175 on that? Something like that?
Area, yes.
Both of them were no sweat. Angels, we kind of talked about, the potential looming regression, and they didn't look good at all last night. I got to give my buddy Corby Craig a shout out. Now, I can't promote his show because it's a competitor, but he's become a friend of mine. You've probably seen him on a bunch of these shows, and him and I talk quite a bit. He pointed out something here that is really, really interesting. So I want to make sure he gets credit for finding this angle. And it's the fact that the Angels have Kachanowicz following Soriano and how not favorable that is to him, the way those two pitch. Almost similar to the point I made last year where Corbin was following some very similar lefties, but Corbin had slightly worse stuff. So when you had Corbin after Mitchell Parker or anyone, some of those other lefties on the Nationals, they would see him and he'd get blown up. And so Corby kind of thinks that's sort of happening to Kachanowicz following Soriano, which makes a ton of sense. Now, I don't know that you could almost say that's maybe something similar for Heaney at going after Falter, but I definitely think it plays more with like someone like Soriano, who's got pretty devastating stuff when he's on. He wasn't on last night. Kachanowicz is a little bit more, he's going to have to get outs and pitch a little bit more, rely on command. So maybe there's something to that. And I definitely think there's something to the Angels starting to fade after this hot start. So I'll go to Brian, who was also on the Pirates last night. Are you coming back with them today, or is the value gone in this one?
Slight value on the Pirates, I think. When you take a look at the two pitchers, Haney's been very good. And Haney has gotten into, if you've watched his career, he's gone through these streaks before. Well, while he's pitching well, he's somebody that you can back. You see a lot of red in his StatCast pitching stats. Kachanowicz started well, but as you mentioned, lately has not been as good. He's only got an 11.2% strikeout rate, and his walk rate is 7.9. That's not something I'm looking to bet on for a favorite, as opposed to Haney's 22.4 and 6.1. I prefer the Pittsburgh side in this one. I think, the Angels, we talked about that on yesterday's show. One of the reasons why we like Pittsburgh, they got off that great start, and then they've struggled. A lot of that has to do with the rookie they have playing, who is terrific, just playing outside of his range early on, and he's in a major slump right now. So the Angels don't have much of a home advantage. Obviously, they don't get a lot of fans in LA, and a lot of times it's not going to have it with the Pirates, but a lot of times when they play good teams like the Dodgers or quality teams out west, the other team will have more fans there than the Angels will. Have not, I'm looking at everything fresh right now, have not made any decisions on the day. I will point out that ever since we've been doing this show and we've been able to bounce the games off each other, I've turned around my season. I struggled the first week or so, but now I'm starting to turn it around. 7-2 yesterday overall, so going very well. I like the Pittsburgh side here, both teams are pretty well set up for their final guys. Pittsburgh did have their 7th, 8th, and 9th guys they used yesterday, but they didn't throw many pitches. So I'm not too concerned about that. Everybody should be available that's good in these bullpens. So, I like Pittsburgh. I think it's an underdog. You got to give them a look.
Tokyo Brandon, I'm coming to you, but I want you to answer another question for me on something Bryan just said. I strongly believe this. The hardest stretch of baseball every year is like the first 20 days of the season and then the playoffs. The playoffs, because the books are super focused and a lot of the day-to-day value is gone. And the first 20 days, in my opinion, because you don't really have a ton of in-season data that you can really rely on. So, Bryan, some of your early struggles are probably what anyone deals with, trying to find that happy medium between last year's numbers and then what you're seeing on the field. Where are you at on that, TB? And also chime in on Pirates Angels if you've got opinions.
Yeah, playoffs are the most difficult time to bet any sport because you have equal teams going against each other, and that's, you're not going to get a lot of variance when you have equal teams going against each other. Rather than a side in this one, though, I want to make a point on Andrew Heaney. I said in a few shows back I wasn't crazy about him when he pitched for the Angels, but I like him now. But actually, looking back throughout his entire career, he's in a special category as far as people who bet the outs over under. He's in a special category. He's in a category along with Wheeler. He's up there in that upper echelon of pitchers. He is a warrior. He's an innings eater. He averages like 18 point something outs per start. And today his outs over under is 17.5. If you look at just this season alone, he's gone 7, 6, 7. I don't count the first game of the season because people are, careful. He only pitched 79 pitches in that game against Miami. But since then, he's gone 100 pitches, 89 pitches, 95 pitches. So he's a guy that the coach, the manager can always rely on to eat tons of innings. So I like his outs over 17.5. And I generally like Andrew Heaney to eat innings. He's not a flashy pitcher. He's not as good as Wheeler. I'm not saying that. I'm saying he's in the upper echelon for the outs recorded over upper echelon of pitchers.
Go ahead, Bryan.
Just wanted to touch on something. I've got a friend out here in Vegas, originally from Cleveland, Adam Burke. He does a lot of work at VEASAN. Very good baseball handicapper. He writes a nice preview before the season. He wrote an article yesterday about home advantage in baseball. Home advantage is usually in the 52.5 to 53% range. They're at about 56, 57 right now. So right now the home teams, for some reason, have done very well. And I'm an underdog player mostly. So I'm looking to play the road teams. I'm looking to play underdogs. So that's why I've gotten off to a start. I didn't research it like he did, but there has been a lot of favorites, home favorites that have won. So if you're a chalk player and you like to play those home teams, you've probably had a pretty good season so far. I would be prepared to for that to end. Is the sum of large numbers, as they say. We've got plenty of proof in the past that home teams only win about the 53% range.
Yeah, I want to point one other thing out about the Pirates, because I agree with you, Bryan. That's the side in this game. It's got to be Pirates or nothing. Not quite as nice of a setup as yesterday, but the Pirates bullpen is coming back around. Remember, they came out of the gate. David Bednar struggled, went back to AAA. Actually, very impressed with him, what he did at AAA. Went down there and just came out and wiped everyone out for 5 outings. Took it in stride. Sometimes, David Bednar's an established guy. That could have gone one of two ways, right? And, getting sent down in early March like that, but he's been great. He came back, pitched a clean inning last night. Justin Lawrence has kind of been awesome for them. He kind of got in trouble a little bit last night, but his numbers are fantastic in Pittsburgh. This is a guy that was in Colorado for all those years, so he might actually be really good. We just, tough to pitch in Colorado. Dennis Santana came in, threw 3 pitches and just totally wiped out Soler, and then they got a big lead, so they took him out. So you're also looking at a pretty fresh Pirates bullpen here that's much better than they're probably getting credit for based on some of the small sample size numbers that you're looking at. So yeah, I think Pirates are absolutely a live dog, just not as good of a setup as yesterday. And then on the flip
Let
side,
me make
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say on the flip side, the A's bullpen is a mess. It's a mess.
I'll put my finger up like Bryan from now on.
But yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, because our audio is a little bit lagging as well. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, go ahead, TB.
If you love a favorite today and you want a parlay piece, Cachano, it's to not get the win today is only minus 210, which is crazy because for him to get a win, he has to go 5 innings, which he barely has been able to do once this season. And also his team probably isn't going to win. So there's 3 barriers to cross for a pitcher to get a win. And minus 210 is really light. I would expect him to be like a minus 500 to not get a win. Right. So if you're looking for a parlay piece, that's something I saw that I was like, wow, interesting.
Yeah, I've been hammering the caffeine already this morning, so feel free to interrupt me because I'm like
I've been hammering something else.
Yeah, right. Well, it's where are you at right now? 10:16 your time?
10:16 p.m.
If I was hammering Fireball at this hour out here, I probably wouldn't accomplish much the rest of the day.
What about Bryan? 6 in the morning.
6 in the morning, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to. I'm going to come back to UTB. Another day game, Mets Phillies. Do we step in? Ace Rothstein asks, great name by the way. Do we step in Mets with Wheeler today? Day game, Mets Phillies. What do you think?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. 2 really well put together teams, and we got 2 really good pitchers today as well. So how do you do it? Looking at my numbers here, I like Peterson a lot. I like Wheeler a lot. The only way I would go in this would be an under. However, the Phillies bullpen is quite scary, especially recent form. They're almost ranked dead last, where the Mets bullpen is a little more stable. Hitting wise, they're pretty equal. And starting pitcher wise, I mean, you would have to give Wheeler an edge just because of his pedigree, but Peterson's pitching really well. So, pretty deadlocked, but an under would be the only way I'd go in this, but I'm not going to play it.
Go ahead, Bryan.
I agree with a lot of what you said. That Philadelphia bullpen, I'm a big fan of Kerkering. He hasn't had it lately. He was a guy that for years people have thought was going to be the closer of the future. He got bombed again. And in fact, out of the last 3 days, he's pitched 40 pitches with a blown save. He's struggling right now. Romano, right when I thought Romano was turning it around, he got bombed the other day on Saturday. So the good thing is that Alvarado and Strahm, neither one of them pitched just the last 2 days. Those are your key players. And when you're looking at a starter, Wheeler's a guy who goes 7 innings on a regular basis. So I'm not as concerned about the mid guys in the Philadelphia bullpen. How often do we get a chance to play Wheeler at this price? It's something that I'm interested in right now. Like I said, I haven't made any decisions on the day. Peterson's a guy that I haven't liked in the past, but I like him this year because every Mets starter has been really good. The problem with the Mets is their closer, and he got the save the other night, but he's not pitching well. Diaz is struggling right now. So if I'm looking at a pitcher that's going to go 7 innings, I want Wheeler over Peterson. So as a way for me to play this game, I think I'll still play him in the full game, but maybe the first 5 is a better way to play Philadelphia. I've been very impressed by the Mets pitching staff so far and what they've been able to do. Just about everybody on this team has overperformed, but they've been very good, and I don't want to stand in front of that. But to get Wheeler in this price range, and you've got your 8th and 9th inning guys that are set up to pitch tonight, I'll be on the Philadelphia side one way or another.
Yeah, interesting thing about Peterson. So I got to hear him talk after a game last year when he was here in Syracuse. He spent about a month and a half here rehabbing, and a comment he made after one of his starts was, I think he had like a hip surgery or something like that. He had a pretty big injury and last year at the beginning of the year, he spent about a month down here or up here in Syracuse rehabbing. And he said that he was pitching pain-free for the first time in probably 3 to 4 years. That was a comment that he made while he was at Syracuse last year. So, you could, and he actually was okay last year. His full season numbers were pretty good. I mean, I'm looking quickly. Regular season, 2.90 ERA, 1.29 WHIP, and he got a late start. Like, he didn't really have much spring. That's why he was here in Syracuse for 6 weeks, because he didn't have much spring. So you got to think, like, he's coming into this season probably as healthy as he's been, and with the luxury of having like a normal offseason, normal spring. I wouldn't be that surprised if he like kept it up. And I think that's like the only thing kind of keep it. Well, that and the fact that I think the Mets, I kind of said this, and they've made me look good so far this week. I think the Mets are just categorically better than the Phillies this year. I think the Mets are a big time contender. I'm a little out on the Phils right now, and I'm sure people could disagree with that, and you could easily make a case for the Phillies. And I don't mind like the case being made for Wheeler, but yeah, I don't want to go against Peterson and the Mets right now. I think they're just a better team, so I'll probably stay off that one, but. Won't find me on the Phillies. Probably in many of those matchups this year. I'm really high on this Mets team.
Wheeler's another one of those Iron Men who go way deep into games, but when you see an over under 18.5 outs, that means he has to record an out in the 7th inning, and that's really tough to bet. I mean, if anyone's going to do it, it's Wheeler or Haney, but it's hard to bet that. It's hard to bet that someone's going to go into the 7th inning.
All right, my guy Titan CT in the chat. He's always in here. Shout out Titan CT. He says, could the Rocks shock the world today? Well, they were like 3 outs away from doing it yesterday. And that was a game we talked about here yesterday. I believe Bryan had another winner in that game. And the under was like a dead under. If you took first 5 under, you were like, chilling. And really, the full game under should have been much easier. That should have never been a sweat at the end. These two are back today. It's Marquez against Michael Lorenzen. So we'll go to Bryan first. Do the Rockies shock the world and pull the upset here?
Boy, I hate to have to depend on Colorado to play 2 good games in a row on the road, but they did. They played very well pitched game. We talked about it on the show yesterday, and it was no score for a long time in that game. So I would look once again in that range of lower scoring game. Don't trust the Rockies on the road from a hitting standpoint. If you look at the bullpen situation for the Rockies, Halverson, the closer, pitched 11 pitches with the blown save. Kinley took the loss at 18. Neither one of them had pitched the day before because they had the day off. So the Rockies bullpen is in pretty good shape. And plus, it's not like the Rockies have guys that you're scared of. Halverson's got great fastball. And but their entire bullpen is actually pitched well. You talked about this before we came on today. You had mentioned Trig, the guys that they brought up from the minors. So they're fresh. The bullpen is pretty fresh for Colorado in that game. Kansas City's a team right now. They're struggling to score. I mean, it's tough to lay this kind of number with a team that just can't put runs on the board. And we saw it again last night. And if you look at Kansas City's bullpen, the top 4 guys in the bullpen, Estevez blew the save, 27 pitches. He's thrown 51 pitches 2 out of the last 3 days. He will not pitch tonight. Urseg, 13 pitches. Lynch, 18 pitches. And Schreiber, 16. Schreiber and Lynch both have pitched 2 out of the last 3 days, so you might not see them. So from a bullpen standpoint, Colorado is in much better play. I like to look at this from a live standpoint at that point. Late in the game, close game, I may actually want to be betting on Colorado because you're going to get a similar price as an underdog here, and their bullpen is in much better shape. From a starting standpoint, I don't really care for Marquez. He was very good in his prime and had a lot of success pitching in Colorado. He has not done well since coming back from surgery. And Lorenzen's another guy I don't want to lay this type of money on. So I am going to approach this game in the second half of the game and possibly bet Colorado live.
Yeah, I love that. TB, do you have anything here? That's a great strategy, actually, when it comes to this Rockies team. Go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah. So the only thing that the Royals have an advantage in this game, according to my numbers, is the starting pitcher, because I have German Marquez, Germain Marquez, ranked very, very, very low. But some of that might be because he pitches half of his games on the moon. So I have Lorenzen ranked below average. Actually, I totally agree with Bryan. I have, surprisingly, the Rockies bullpen is above average. They're ranked like 12th in current form compared to Kansas City, which is down to 18. So, and batting, Kansas City is probably the worst in the league right now. And they have some decent hitters, but they're just not performing. They're close to last in all of Major League Baseball, where the Rockies are pretty below average. So if anything, the Rockies would be the play, but do you have the fortitude to put your money on Marquez? I do not, but things trend their way. But like I said, can they put two good games together on the road?
Yeah, I love the idea of maybe looking for a spot live in a close game with the Rockies. I think Rockies plus 1.5 is a reasonable look here for some of those same reasons. And even if you can get that in game, like down a run, going to the 5th, 6th inning, because that is my one concern as well. I'm not like overly high on Marquez, and he could be the one that gives up runs, but the Rockies pen is for real. And it's very odd because you almost never are you looking at a 4-18 baseball team with like a legitimately good bullpen. And the other thing that's worth pointing out is I don't think it's going to regress because Zach Agnos just got up over the weekend, pitched a clean inning against the Nationals. He's going to be one of their better relievers. Jaden Hill is probably going to be one of their better relievers. He just kind of got called up. He pitched last. I think he gave up a run last night, but still his stuff is very good. You've got a guy like Jake Bird, who's been a really kind of solid veteran. I think he'll continue to pitch well. And then there's these upside guys like Shvili, Jimmy Herget, who all have like upside. So I don't think this is a scenario where they're just like lucky right now and it's going to regress. I actually think they have a very good bullpen. So they're just not a team I'm going to like fade anymore, right? And you're never going to get the price to do it. So the Rockies are really a team where you either have to make a case for them or you got to like leave it alone in this case. And I think it's worth pointing out the Royals have not been hitting with runners in scoring position, have not been generating offense like they did last year. So they look to be a vulnerable favorite right now too. So I don't know, Titans.
They don't get runners in scoring position.
Yeah, and when they get there, they haven't knocking them in.
It's not every day you face a pitcher who's 0-3 with an 8+ ERA and a 1.87 WHIP. So
right. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bryan. Wasn't most of that from the Dodgers though? Wasn't most of Marquez's bad numbers from like
he faced the Dodgers and the Padres? He was good against the Phillies, and then he just fell off a cliff.
Yeah, well, listen to
Dodgers
those 3 teams you just named. Dodgers,
True.
Padres, Phillies. That is
he handled the Phillies quite well. And then he had the A's as well. So it's 4 power-packed lineups that he faced.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's
so I'll give him credit. I'll give him the Royals are bad. They're very bad right now. Especially
I think Bryan made the best point though. That's a great in-game opportunity. If you can watch the first 4 innings and it's tied or they're like trailing by 1 and you can time it where kind of Marquez is going to be coming out, I think it's instant advantage for Rockies. That's a great way to play it. Good stuff from Bryan Leonard right there. And we're going to move on. G Hurt back in the chat. Daytime Tigers at home. Is it them today? The Detroit Tigers, they're going to be finishing up a series with the Padres. Tokyo Brandon, our guy, former NC Dino, Kyle Hart, is on the mound. He has not had a good start to his season back stateside here. I'll go back to you. Does he clean it up today? The Tigers have a little bit of offensive woes at times. Is this a scenario where maybe he gets right a little bit?
I'll just make it short and quick and pass it to Bryan, but I like Detroit in this matchup. I mean, I have these 2 teams almost dead equal in every category except starting pitcher, where Reese Olson, he's not a flashy guy. He's not your, ace or anything like that, but he's experienced. He's been here before, and Hart has not, and Hart's been actually tagged pretty good in his short MLB career. So, starting pitcher is going to be the difference here. maybe a first 5, but I think Detroit's the only way to go in this one.
As much as I like this San Diego bullpen, Detroit's bullpen is pretty good too. Suarez and Adam are the 8th and 9th inning guys. They've both pitched 2 of the last 3 days. You take a look at Detroit's bullpen; they're everybody's available. I like the situation here with Detroit. I don't know if I like laying this type of number into what I consider a very good team, but when you take a look at the San Diego's starters, Hart is by far the one I would look to go against. Pivetta pitched another great game yesterday. He's just, when he's pitching in a stadium that doesn't allow a lot of fly balls, he's somebody I want to take. We pointed that out when the season started. It's worked out really well for him. But I do prefer the Detroit side, and maybe the under. This is a pretty good a pretty good pitching ballpark here in Detroit. Detroit facing a lefty. If I can get anything out of Hart, I think it'll be a lower scoring game. But I do like Detroit in this one, but the numbers getting up there. So I don't know if I'll get there that way. Try to find a different way. Maybe we play San Diego team total under is a different way we look. I do a lot of hockey shows, and Andrew McGinnis plays a lot of team totals, has a lot of success. Maybe that's the way to take a look at this one.
I think I agree with you on the under. I think that's the way I would look. I expect. Listen, Olsen is pretty solid. He's probably going to improve on those numbers. I think his whip's like 155. That's going to probably be lower as the season goes on. I'm not totally out on Kyle Hart. I know he's kind of got off to a rough start, but I'm still a believer that he can at least, put together a serviceable outing. I know it was the Rockies. He completely shut them down for 6 innings, was okay against the Guardians. The 2 teams that blew him up were the Astros and the Cubs, and both were on the road. So it's the Tigers are not that. And the other thing with the Tigers, they don't profile quite as good offensively against the left-handed pitcher, because that's a good way to get Kerry Carpenter out. And the other call-up, who I do like, is Jace Jung is now up, which I think was something that needed to happen for this team. But he's a left-handed bat as well. So I do think the left-handed starter maybe neutralizes this Tigers lineup a little bit. And then, as Bryan said, bullpens are fresh, and both are. I think these 2 bullpens rank pretty much across the board in the top 5 in Major League Baseball. So I'll co-sign a low-scoring game there with you, Bryan. I think that's probably the way to look on that one. All right, let's go to Jack Falk. Keep the questions coming. We have a half hour to go, so we'll get to as many as possible. Jack in the chat says, why is the total in Cincy, Miami 8.5 seems too easy to take the under? Miami offense has been cooking. Yep. I'm kicking myself, Bryan, and I'll go to you first. We talked about it on this show that this was the series to target the Marlins last week. I think on Friday before the Phillies series, we said this was the series, Marlins at home against the Reds, to take shots with the Marlins. I have not taken a shot with the Marlins yet, and they've won both of these games so far. Now we're in the finale. The Marlins can do no wrong in my eyes. I can't bet against them. I just like this team too much based on where the market has them priced. So once again, it would be Marlins or pass for me. But any comments on Jack's question on the total?
Would look to play against Alcantara. He's not done well. Like I mentioned before, preseason great, regular season not so much. Strikeout to walk ratio 4.0. That's not what we're getting out. We would expect to get out of him. Singer's looked really good. I liked that trade for Kansas City better, but Singer's played a whole lot better than what Kansas City got back. Singer's looked really good. His strikeout to walk ratio 26.7 to 10. 10 still high. That's a little bit higher than what I'd like, but considering he's pitching in a pretty good hitter's ballpark for half of his games, I've been impressed by Singer in that situation. I played the over between these two a couple days ago. Didn't quite get there. Came up a run short. We beat the closing line. But I like this. I like the batting order for Miami. Of course, I like the batting order for Cincinnati when they're playing well. They've been very hit or miss so far this season. If I played this game, I would play the over, and I prefer the first 5 with Cincinnati. That's my initial look on this one.
I was with you, Brian, the other day. I took the over. I forgot who the pitchers were, and yeah, they went to 7, and I think I had 8.5 or something, whatever. But Alcantara is still being priced by the books like he's an elite pitcher, and he's not himself. He hasn't been himself so far this season, and until he turns it around, you have to keep thinking he's not going to be himself until he shows us that he is. The Reds, pretty good offense. I mean, their numbers are a little slanted because they put 3 touchdowns up the other day against position players at the end of the game. So you have to keep that into consideration. They're not the number 1 offense in MLB, even though their run production is ranked number 1 in the last 7 days. But that being said, I think they can get to Alcantara, and I don't like. I know you guys are going to disagree. I don't like Miami's bullpen very much. I know they might have some good arms there, but current form, they just haven't been doing it. And to your point, probably it's because they've been losing games and just putting shills out there instead of their main guys because they're losing the game. But I don't like their bullpen much. I think Cincinnati team total over is a way to go here. And I think it was 3.5 when I saw it before the show. So I think Cincinnati can get 4 runs in this game.
TV, I don't disagree with that. Like the Marlins' weakness from a pitching standpoint is definitely their bullpen right now. The starting rotation has been better than the bullpen. I think they've got arms down at AAA, and once they find the exact mix, I think their bullpen could be okay. But I don't completely disagree with that. One thing I'll say, like this is a scenario. My numbers love the Reds here. I personally am just like high enough on the Marlins where I don't really want to bet against them, but I do like Brady Singer. I think that the Reds have done a good job sort of, with his pitch mix. He added a cutter that he's throwing more. Didn't have the best results last time out against the Mariners, but for the most part, I think he's throwing the ball okay. Like he's thrown it well. His ERA is under 4. Whips 1.27. Like he's throwing the ball pretty good. So I wouldn't talk you off of Reds as an underdog here. Like if you really like the Reds, I'm just like probably unnecessarily high on the Marlins right now. So I'm not going to bet it. But Alcantara as a minus 130 favorite or whatever, he's kind of the one starter in this rotation I think I'm willing to fade from a price point standpoint. And Brian's made that point a number of times on the show, that he's just kind of getting priced as the Alcantara from a year or two ago, and he's just not that right now. Go ahead, Brian.
I just wanted to throw out the next game, if it's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why is Baltimore favored over Washington again?
Baltimore's finishing last in that division. I really think that's going to be the case. They had no pitching, and I don't know where they're going to get it from. So yeah, I that's insane to me, but that's just where the market is on the Orioles. The market is still treating the Orioles like this team that's going to contend in the American League. They're just not. Like. And I'm upset with myself that I haven't made money off of this because we've been kind of talking about it for weeks. I think we talked about Nationals yesterday, right at the end of the show, being like value there, and they won easy. I don't know, TB, do you want to answer that? You want to chime in there?
Yeah, I have these teams dead even. I think the reason, Brian, you probably know this, the reason is because the book likes starting pitcher better. They don't like Trevor Williams very much, but if you dig a little deeper and look at the deeper numbers, I have Trevor Williams as a better pitcher than Cigano. Both bullpens playing like trash. The Orioles are in a tailspin right now, and I agree with you. They should not be favored against Washington in any situation, no matter who's starting for them. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, the bullpens are in really good shape tonight, so you'll get the best of the bullpens, but I'm not so sure that this Baltimore bullpen is any better than Washington's at this point. And I do like Trevor Williams better. You take a look at Zagano's numbers. His expected batting average, 319. Expected slugging, 568. He only strikes out 9% of the batters he faces. He's not a guy that's going to whiff you. And that's the deal with Washington. They got a lot of young guys that strike out. But they don't have to deal with that with Zagano on the mound. So I've been, you look at Trevor Williams' numbers, there's more red than there is blue. I've always thought that he was a guy who I like to play on because when he's good, he's good. and he's good more than he's not good. So that's one of the games I'm looking at. The early call on this one is Washington, and plus it's a one-sided rivalry game because Baltimore is the team every season. This is the team with all the young players. This is the team that's going to win it. Washington sees that. Washington is a team in that same area for recruiting fans. They want to come out and they want to beat Baltimore. I'm going to find a way to be on Washington today.
Yeah, the problem. Go ahead, TB. Go ahead.
Let me make just a very quick point. The book is probably looking at their ERAs and pricing the starting pitcher just based on ERA, which is a very shallow thing to do. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah. So here's the thing with Baltimore. Like there's a possibility that they get a bump at some point this year, right? Like you have to acknowledge Grayson Rodriguez is on the IL. Zach Eflin has been hurt. Trevor Rogers, worst trade ever. That's, that was the beginning of the end for this team, that trade. Chase McDermott's someone that's been hurt, and I thought like maybe he could be in the mix this year at some point. And then our guy, Albert Suarez, who I would not have on a big league mound at this point, but found a way to go out and throw 5 scoreless every time he stepped on the mound last year, has also been hurt. So they have had injuries. But the problem with the Orioles is this lineup gets kind of put on a pedestal with like all these like young stud players, the Gunnar Hendersons, Jackson Holiday, Westberg. Like there's a lot of good talent in this lineup, but they are streaky. And when they go cold, like they are right now, it is going to be tough for this Orioles team to win games. And so you can't be playing them as a favorite because they just don't have enough. Like if they don't go out, hit a few bombs and put up 8 runs, they're going to be in trouble because they only really have a couple good relievers. And outside of that, there's just not much pitching on this roster right now. So yeah, can't be playing the Orioles as a favorite right now. I wouldn't mind trying to find your way on the Nats here.
I like Robert S.'s comment there. The books don't like Trevor Williams. He's absolutely right. They don't like him.
Yeah, I feel like he's always
what it is.
I feel like he's always been kind of viewed as like a 4A type guy, and he's probably outperformed that. And if you've bet Trevor Williams over the years, you've probably done okay. I feel like he's been
made more than you lost.
Yeah. All right.
But they don't like him, and they're looking at ERAs, and that's
They're not looking at ERAs because I mentioned ERA because everybody knows what ERA is. It's an outdated stat. They're going deeper than that, but it's just not the books. It's not like the lines are moving from the betting standpoint on Trevor Williams. So it's the bettors for the most part feel the same way as the openers. He doesn't take a lot of money. Usually his money is bet against him. And normally I like to go where the money goes, because especially the early money, because it's big bucks playing that early money. But I've always been in disagreement on Trevor Williams, and that's part of me, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, is I just value him better than the lines makers do.
All right, Craig. Tokyo Brandon's boy, Corbin, looked solid last night. Again, I know Trig is high on him. Someone else was like, I can't believe Trig hasn't brought up Patrick Corbin yet. Yes, another win for the 315 here. Central New York native, just out there winning games. But this is a betting show, and it brings up a good point. Craig brings up a good point. Do you think his turnaround has to do with Mike Maddox? It could. I said yesterday, I think he's just a different, he's not stacked in a rotation with all lefties. It's giving guys, he doesn't follow a very similar lefty, so he's a different look. So those are all great. That's how you handicap baseball. These are the types of hidden edges that you have to look at when you're handicapping the sport. New pitching coach. How is that impacting someone like we just talked about it? Brady Singer, I think, is responding better to the coaching in Cincinnati, and they've tweaked his pitch mix. Bryan pointed out the changes that the Marlins have made, and look at Max Meyer, 14 strikeouts on Monday. He looks awesome. So that's just sort of a general thing, but yeah, that is like, I would say baseball handicapping 101. And if you're not grinding this out every day, it's something that you just wouldn't know. So I guess I'll let both of you, Bryan, if you want to comment on that. I think Craig makes a good point though. Yeah,
he does. And other than Kumar Rocker, who has been a typical young player, one day he looks great, next day he's terrible. Molly's been good. Eovaldi's been a better pitcher with Texas than he'd been in the past. Corbin's looked okay. He got the win yesterday, but is not a guy I'm looking to back on a regular basis. But as a whole, Luke Jackson came out of nowhere, and now he's closing for him. So they have done a very good job in their pitching staff. The problem with Texas is their offense just, as of right now, they've got some problems. And Seager got hurt yesterday, so Seager probably won't be playing today. Langford's coming back from his injury. He's been out he's been back for the last 2 games. The offense concerns me. Simeon, they finally dropped out of the number 1, number 2 spot. He's down to number 5. All of his advanced stats look bad. He's aged very quickly in the last 2 years. And Jack Peterson, oh my God, I think 0 for 40. He's a much better player than what he's shown so far.
Chris Davis reincarnated.
And Jake Berger's not. So you've got a Texas team where you came into the season and they look like they had a stacked lineup, and none of them, for the most part, are hitting well. Maybe Josh Smith, who's leading off, coming back from injury, he may be the hottest player they've got. So when you're playing Texas, you're not going to get a lot of offense right now, and that is always a concern, especially when you're going against the Athletics in this ballpark. And Kurtz did not play yesterday. They wanted to give him an extra day to acclimate at in this stadium, so he'll be in the lineup today. And I think the Athletics with Sears, we've talked about him in the past. He's a guy that gives you a lot of innings, and he's an innings eater, and he's looked pretty good again this year. I think there's some value here on the Athletics against Rocker.
Yeah, and the other thing we've talked about the A's too is if you can get the ball to those top bullpen guys, which that's something Sears has been very good at, is giving them length, giving them 6 good innings, right? Like where he gives them a chance to win and can get the ball to those top bullpen guys. The A's are typically in business if you can get the ball to Mason Miller, Ferguson, at the back end of that game. So yeah, that's an interesting point. TV, I'll go to you if you want to talk about that game, but also shout out to you yesterday and Andrew in the chat. I took TV's suggestion on Cincinnati, Miami, both pitchers to not record the win, and it hit. Thank you, sir. Do you have anything else under the radar today? So if you want to talk about A's Rangers, go ahead. But also, is there any starting pitch? Do you want to, throw out another starting pitcher not to record a win since you had, a nice call on that yesterday?
Yeah, Miles Mikolas is not going to win today. Just saying.
Right out of the gate, that's the first. I think that's the first game on the board. So go ahead.
It starts in about 3 hours. So yeah, but Miles Mikolas and I think Kochanowicz is if that's how you say his name. I don't think either one of those guys are going to record. So if you want to put those together in a parlay, it probably would be a decent odds and a decent hit there.
And you also have
regarding the game, I don't really have any comments on the actual game. I think the A's are a better team, but their bullpen is much worse than Texas's. But like you said, Adam, when they're losing, they don't use their real guys. So that number might be a little fugazi. What, Brian?
I live in Las Vegas, so I'm not able to play any of these things that you're able to take advantage on because that's the way Las Vegas is. Bryce Elder is going against him. Is it possible? Are you allowed to parlay that both starting pitchers will not get the victory? Are you able to do that? No.
Oh, no, not
Elder. I don't see going very long either.
I agree.
Yeah, so that's a game that the bullpen is going to be deciding who's going to win that game.
Cannot do that. No.
All right. At least we have about 10 minutes left. So if you get your games in the chat, we'll hit about as many as we can. I'm going to go to Adonis Jenkins here. What about Mariners and Boston? So yesterday we talked about this game. Disappointing from the Mariners, but that's what I come to expect with that team. That's just a disappointing team to me. I think I said that I maybe, gave them a little bit of a lean as a dog, but I didn't want to play against them at Fenway. That's just because I don't think Seattle's a very good team. So as long as Seattle is on this side of 500, I'm probably going to be more inclined to go against them because, again, they get priced. The last 4 years, they've been between 85 and 90 wins. I don't know how this team gets to 86, 87, 88 wins every year, but they do. And they're priced that way. And I've got them more like a 500 team. I've got them more like an 80, 81, 82 type win team. So they are a team that I'm just not that interested in getting involved in. I don't know that I really want to be on Newcomb either. I think, I will say this about Emerson Hancock. Got blown up in that first start against the Tigers, went down, pitched pretty good AAA, pitched okay against the Reds last week. So kind of the same feeling as yesterday. Maybe a little bit of value on the Mariners, but not a team I really care to mess with. What do you think, Bryan?
I prefer the Seattle bullpen for the back of the bullpen. They're well rested. We had 32 pitches from Garrett Whitlock yesterday, who's really turned it on. He's pitching very well. In fact, they had 32-7, 22-10. So Boston's bullpen is a little bit tired going into this. So I think there's an edge in the second half of this game on Seattle. I'm not a fan of either one of the starting pitchers. So maybe it's a game similar to one of the ones I talked about earlier, where we can take a look at possibly Seattle in the second half of this game because they've got their better pitchers. They will be fresh, whereas Boston's will not.
Yeah, TB, Boston had that early game on Monday, the 11 a.m. Patriot Day start, and it was a close game with the White Sox. So they have used some bullpen arms. Anything for you in Mariners, Red Sox?
No, I don't really know. I don't have enough data on these two pitchers, and I don't really know them. I'm not familiar with them that much. I can say that recent form, Seattle is hitting a lot better than Boston, but yeah, I don't have a play on this one.
All right, well then I'll go back to you here, and we'll stay with G Hurt. And there are a couple people asked about this game. How about the Snakes at home versus Taj Bradley? That's Eduardo Rodriguez, Taj Bradley out in the desert tonight. We'll start with you, TB. Rays, Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I generally like Taj Bradley, but this season not so great. Bullpen wise, I think Tampa Bay has a significant advantage here, but lineup wise, Arizona has an advantage. And actually, when I put these two teams with starters next to each other, they rank 12.6 and 12.8. So this is about as a dead heat as you're going to get in anything. So I am not playing this game. Bryan.
I think the line is where it should be. Rodriguez has been very impressive so far, and his StatCast numbers show he's pitching up to that ability. To catch Arizona in this price range at home is probably about right. I do like Bradley. I do have some concerns about Bradley's fly ball tendencies sometimes, but I think the line is where it should be. And at this moment, I'm not seeing much of an advantage with this game. That's the best thing about baseball. There's always a ton of games, and you don't have to play every one of them.
Exactly.
Yeah. I got to disagree with one thing you said, though, TB. The Diamondbacks bullpen is phenomenal. I think their bullpen is going to be – I think that collection of guys in that pen is going to end up being one of the better bullpens in the National League this year. You've got Martinez, Puck. Their bullpen solid. That's the only thing. Like, I really like their collection of relievers. Even I think they just did a little bit of shuffling, brought Dre Jameson up, who I think could, we've been waiting for years for him to be good. Go ahead, Bryan.
Well, no, I just wanted to touch. You mentioned Puck. Puck is injured right now, and
that's right.
The first reports are not good, and it's a shame because that's a guy as a reliever. He's fantastic, and he keeps struggling with his health. That would be a shame. Shelby Miller, they've got in the 8th inning right now. He's fine. He's looked good over the years, but without Puck there, that really shortens this bullpen up a little bit.
They might be good, but they're not performing well.
Yeah, that's a good point on Puck. I forgot that he had. I saw that he left, or I think he last pitched against Miami, and then I kind of lost track of him. But I guess Justin Martinez, I think, could be one of the top relievers in the sport at this point. But yeah, it's a good point. And the Rays have a respectable. That's a team I like, an organization I like. I think they push the right button. So I probably won't bet against them here. Go ahead, Bryan.
Justin Martinez, he's got a tired arm. He hasn't pitched since last Thursday. That is a concern when you've taken this many days off, especially from a control standpoint. So the back of the bullpen for Arizona, to me, is questionable today. So I do agree with you. If they got everybody there, I think they've got some pretty good bullpen arms. Right now, I do have some concerns about the back of the bullpen, at least for tonight's game.
Yeah, that's a good point. Didn't even realize that they had Jameson in the save situation against the Cubs on Sunday. That's a great catch right there. Absolutely something to be. I would change my tune considerably on the Diamondbacks bullpen if they didn't have Martinez at the back end closing games. So that's great stuff from you two. We have about 4 or 5 minutes left. So let's see if we can get one here at the gun. I have a 5%er tonight. Why don't you guys promote yourself real quick? If you've got anything up. I know Bryan said you'll probably put something up. TB, what do you got up so far?
I have a 3-day all access pass for $39 using the code TB3. That's all I have up. I do have several. I have a 4% play and a couple other plays up in MLB today.
I have nothing up now. I will work on everything and put something up in a short while. I've already circled an NHL play. We had a nice winner last night. Do have a question for you. David Festa's going against the White Sox today. Are they going to let him pitch 5 full innings to get the victory here? That's a guy who has gotten to the 4th inning, and they're so afraid of him pitching through the 3rd time with this on the mound. He should be able to shut down the Chicago White Sox here. Tokyo, do you happen to know what his number is to?
Yeah.
Great.
Sorry, so I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm really bad at that.
Tell us what it is.
15.5. So will he or will he not record an out in the 6th inning?
Okay, what about to get the victory?
To get the victory, I don't have that number off the top of my head.
I'll talk about Festa while you're looking for that real quick. Like his thing is like, and this goes back to last year. He will get into a spot where he starts to nibble. And I guess this is like something young pitchers will do time to time. But last year he would get himself into a spot and then he'd groove one. And he'd put first and second one out, or he'd load up the bases, and he would not want to give in. So he'd just groove one, and it would go for a 3-run double or a 2-run double. So it feels like the Twins, it's like Baldelli's trying to beat him to the punch with that in a sense. And that's kind of what's happened to him. I've been on him a couple times. I don't think he's given up an earned run yet this year in 2 starts, but Baldelli went and got him in that spot twice. So he was in the 5th inning against the Tigers and the Mets, got himself into a little spot, and Baldelli just went and said, I'm going to get out of this inning. We're going to get out, and we're going to keep that that game at 0-0 or at 1-0. So I actually won last week with Festa. It was the Twins walked off the Mets in that game, and they actually he wouldn't have qualified for the win anyway because he only went 4 1/3. But that was like a 3-0 Twins lead, and then the Mets rallied to tie it, and the Twins ended up walking it off. But yeah, like Festa's going to start pitching deeper. It's just he finds a way to get in trouble second time through, and Baldelli has made a point, like when he gets in trouble, he's going right to the pen. He doesn't seem to want to let him sort of give that lead up or have that big inning go against him at this point.
And a lot of that has to do with Minnesota getting off to this bad record, and there is talk out of Minnesota, he may not be long for that job. So let's just put it that way. But I do kind of like the under in that game because this Minnesota offense is just horrendous. They're bringing guys up from the minors. The guy that brought up Keishel, he may be the best player on the team, and he's played 3 major league teams or 3 major league games. So they're really struggling offensively. The under in that game may be worth a look.
Best of 170 to get the win.
Minus 170?
Plus
170.
Plus.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I think he goes 5 here because I don't think the White Sox.
Can Minnesota score a run? Can Minnesota score? That's the question.
All right, guys, we are right at the hour mark, so I'm going to finish it up there. We got through a bunch of games. Check out all our pages. We've got that. I think that there's a 3 or 7 day special going on right now. So check that out. Always better to do the long-term stuff. We'll be back on Friday morning right here, 9 a.m. And as always, this show is on the WagerTalk YouTube channel on demand. So you can watch the replay if you've missed it to this point. Thank you guys for joining. We appreciate you. And we'll see you guys Friday morning, 9 o'clock.